Houston Texans, who have made a lot of moves at head coach, shocked everybody in the draft. They had two of the first three picks in the NFL draft this year, and then went out there, got some dudes in free agency on defense as well. Overall thoughts on the Houston Texans and all the moves they've been making?
So, as the Texans whisperer talks again, yeah. So last year, even though they, fumbled the number one pick and they, on paper looked pretty terrible. Their defense last year was pretty solid, ranked
Yeah.
top 10 in a lot of categories. And in the offseason, they got D'Amico Ryans, much better head coach than Lovie Smith at this point.
Yeah.
He got his guy in the draft. He got Will Anderson. They have the quarterback of the future. We're not, working with Dougie Mills now.
Hey.
They got some other guys as well. Damian Pierce will be healthy finally.
Yeah.
They also signed Devin Singletary to back him up, so that I'm okay with that as well. They also went out and got Dalton Schultz. They got Bobby Trees, getting him as well with what they have left with him. So I think this team is going to be better than a lot of people think.
Okay. And then we have a so-so schedule to start out the year, but going into it, I agree with everything you said about the Texans. So let's get into their schedule, see what they're going to finish. Will they make the playoffs? Will they not? We'll find out at the end of the year. But week 1, we're in Baltimore versus the new look Ravens.
I can't pick them to beat the Ravens in week 1. They're just a new head coach. I got to give credit to the Ravens here. They've made a lot of moves, and I think Lamar Jackson's going to want to. I'm never going to bet against Lamar Jackson in September.
Okay. And then week 2, we're going to Indianapolis.
What did I have? I had the Colts losing that game, right?
Yeah.
So give me the Texans here. I have some continuity there. Get the win for the Texans here.
Perfect. And then they're 1-1 now, and now we're going to Jacksonville, facing off the Red Hot Jags.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to split with the Jags this time around. Well, I don't think they're going to win the first game, I should say, because they typically split in Jacksonville, and I think this game here is a game that Jacksonville should win.
Okay, so we're 0-3 to start the year then?
No, they're 1-2.
1-2. Perfect. And then we have them at home versus the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Wow. This is tough because it really that's going to be a defensive battle. I can say that there. This is a game that's going to be maybe 18-15. Ugly game. I'm going to pick the Steelers in respect to Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
In respect to the Steelers, I think the Steelers should win that game.
Yeah, for me, the Steelers are one of those teams that I followed for a while. It's a team I've been a fan of before, and they just have some of these dumb games at the beginning of the year where you're like, what are you doing? How did you lose that? And for me, honestly, I know as being an objective person that you would look at that game and say yeah, I think they should lose that one. But as someone who follows the Steelers, they kind of have that Boston Celtics in them where if they should win, we're like, how did we lose to the Magic 3 times in the regular season this year? So honestly, a little bit of pushback as someone who follows the Steelers, but if you want to keep that as a loss, I'll put it down.
Is that what's the record at that point?
So they are 1-2 right now.
I'll give them the win there. This is going to be a tough fight. Defensive masterpiece from both sides of the ball. I think they'll win this game, but it's going to be a hideous game, a game that you're not going to want to watch.
And then another team you're high on, they're going to Atlanta to face off against the Falcons.
This is week 5. This is at Atlanta?
Yeah, in the Superdome.
Yeah. So loud stadium. You have the Falcons. They're trying to build some momentum themselves. I think the Falcons win this game.
Falcons go ahead and win that game. Okay.
Yep.
And then we're going to be back at home the week before the bye versus the New Orleans Saints.
New Orleans Saints, that's a winnable game. Absolutely. You have a question marks with Michael Thomas. You have question marks with Alvin Kamara. Is Alvin Kamara going to play? Their offensive line, is it going to be as good? I think the Texans start to build some momentum here.
Okay. And then week 6. Okay. So we have the bye in week 7. Then week 8, we're going to the Panthers.
I think they can beat the Panthers. A little bit of CJ Stroud versus Bryce Young, one pick over pick number 2. And I think I like the Texans roster a little bit better. The Panthers have a lot of players who have experience, but they're also kind of at the over the hill, especially with someone like an Adam Thielen of the world. So I think I see the Texans sneaking that one out defensively, especially.
And then we're going back home after facing the Panthers coming off a bye against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, yeah. There's not going to be many wins for the Bucks this year, so be prepared for the NFC South. Bucks are going to have a pretty tough slate, to say the least.
And through their first 8 games, the Houston Texans are 5-3.
5-3, and this is kind of what I see from them. Anywhere between the 4-4 and 5-3 range.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be really solid.
Yeah, and for people like laughing at it, like don't underestimate strength of schedule. Like for a bad team, like sure, were they bad last year and are they going to be a bad team this year? Yeah, but they also play the worst team in the AFC in that division, and they also play the worst division in the NFC. So like if you're kind of laughing at the 5-3, like just look at the schedule. They play some easy teams in here, and there's some winnable games against some good teams in here.
Let's not also forget that the Lions last year, before their 9-8 season, were 3-13. And then the same goes with the Jaguars. Jaguars had back-to-back first overall picks, and look where they were last year.
Yeah.
Teams move around quick in the NFL, so we got to be ahead of it.
Coaching matters too. And then week 10, tough game on the road. Cincinnati undefeated in November the past 2 years in Cincinnati.
No, I don't see that happening. I think that their schedule is nice. I'm glad that they're 5-3, but at the same time, they've had some somewhat of easy wins. You have early in the season, Indianapolis Colts. You have the Panthers. You have some other easy wins
Bucks,
there.
Yeah.
So
cool. And then we are back at home, starting off a 3-game homestand.
Okay.
From week 10 to 12. We're going versus the Arizona Cardinals, who we think may be the worst team in the league next year.
Maybe the worst team ever. So no,
maybe the worst team ever.
Potentially.
Yeah.
If Kyler Murray doesn't play it all next season, and you're rocking Colt McCoy and Trace McSorley, how many wins do they get? They have Hollywood Brown, who's like a 3.
Yeah.
Who else?
That's
it. They don't have anybody else.
And then we have them at home versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I didn't have the Jags losing to anyone. I actually had them losing to the Texans one time this year.
I'm going to pick the Jags to win this game. I think the Texans, I have faith in them this year. I think they're going to be solid, but I do think the Jags are going to take care of business. Like you're talking about the 1 seed with them. I think that they're going to own their division.
Cool. And then finishing off this 3-game homestand, we finish out versus the New York Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson coming to town.
I'm going to give some respect to Sean Payton.
Okay.
So I like to give flowers. I give flowers to Sean McVay in the Colts video. Same with the Patriots. In this game, you have Sean Payton. How good are the Broncos going to be? Definitely a very tough team to think about with how bad they played last year. But I do think he's going to turn around Russ, at least to some extent. So I think they'll lose that game.
Okay. And then going on the road for the next 2 games, we start it versus Aaron Rodgers and the New Look Jets.
I'm going to give Jets the win there. I think they're going to start a little bit of a skid. They started off hot. They're happy. And then perhaps start to lose a couple of games, but maybe they turn around at the end of the season.
Okay, so started out hot 5-3. Now we are 6-7. Gone through a little bit of a rough stretch here. And then we're going on the road again, back-to-back weeks versus the Titans.
Back-to-back weeks against the Titans, like they face each other.
Oh, no, back-to-back weeks on the road.
Back-to-back weeks, and they face the Titans. Oh, yeah, they're going to beat the Titans.
Okay.
I think at that point, because the Titans, I mean, they're a hard team to say very highly about this year with how they've been.
And then week 16, we are back at home versus the Cleveland Browns. Some revenge for Deshaun Watson. Maybe Deshaun Watson doesn't want to step his foot through the door.
Ooh, Deshaun Watson revenge tour. Ooh, I can't bet against that. I'm sorry. Cleveland, weird team, but loaded team. And against the Texans,
I'll take loaded team too. I'll take weird team, but loaded team. I like it. And then again, facing the Titans. This time we're at home, week 17. Maybe Will Levis is starting at this point.
I'd like to think that Mike Vrabel can win 1 game against the Texans, right?
Right? You would think.
Yeah. I don't know whether it's this game or the game before, but I think he's going to win one of the games against the Texans. So I'm going to have him
losing this one.
Yeah.
Okay. And then week 18, we finish on the road versus the Indianapolis Colts.
And that's a win at
That's a
that point.
win.
So they're going to be 8-9, and that's what I expect them to be. I think there should be around the 7 to 9 wins because they still have a lot of holes to address, especially receiver. I like their running back, their offensive line. They made some improvements on the offensive line. Their defense, I think, is going to win them some games, like we pointed to with the Steelers game. So give me the Texans to be right around the 8 to 9 win range.